Hi, everyone. Welcome to the AT&T Countdown to Kickoff. We've reached week 13 of the MLS season after a very short, really only 2-day break for the Gold Cup. MLS back in action, starting with Atlanta United and New England Revolution Saturday, 5 o'clock Eastern time at Mercedes-Benz Stadium as Atlanta United host the first-place team in the East. It was really great to see Thursday night Jason Miles Robinson score a goal for the U.S. men's national team. George Bello have a role in a couple goals. Atlanta United coming off, I thought, a positive draw last Thursday in Nashville. So there's been a lot going on, but really cool to see a lot of individual players stand out both for club and country over the last 8 days.
Yeah, it's difficult right now for the first team with a number of players away on international duty, but they're performing well. We haven't seen Brad Kazan yet, which we kind of expected with Matt Turner from New England and getting those minutes with the U.S. men's national team. But Miles Robinson has started 2 games. He has a goal. George Bello started the last match and played very well, I thought, and hopefully put himself into contention for more playing time going forward. Ezequiel Barco started and played well in Argentina's U23 friendly against South Korea in Seoul, their last pre-Olympic friendly, as they get ready to start the Olympic tournament and the group stage coming up. So Atlanta United players doing well abroad. We wish we had them here right now, though.
Yeah, this is not going to be easy Saturday at the Benz with so many players out. We're talking about a dozen-ish players either called up or injured right now. But let's go back to last Thursday against Nashville. I thought this was a really fun match. Kind of felt like a street fight at times. A lot of momentum swings both ways, and Atlanta United comes out with a 2-2 draw.
Yeah, it was a wild match. It was one of those that I think both of us felt pretty exhausted afterwards, and we got a big jolt early on with Anton Walks getting a goal from a set piece. Great delivery to the backside, and Walks ends up beating his mark, getting there. But it was a little shaky after that. Nashville threw a lot forward. Alec Can with a huge reaction save. And then, as we've seen Nashville before, they are excellent on set pieces. It's not Walker Zimmerman this time around. It's Jalil Anibaba with a perfectly placed header. Way too open for Anibaba in that situation. This was the weird one, and we had a horrible angle on it from where we were. It's a handball on Kubo Torres. It becomes a penalty kick, converted down the middle by Hani Mukhtar, and Nashville takes the 2-1 lead. Atlanta's fighting at that point. It looked like their fight might be done with a goal. That was offside. We couldn't really tell at the time why it was ruled off. Once we got a better look at the replays, and you see it here, he is narrowly off on the header across. Mukhtar heads it across to the offside man, CJ Sapong. Narrowly, VAR intervened, taken away. Jackson Conway came off the bench for Kubo Torres, heads it home. That's the 2-2. And in the 59th minute, it feels like Atlanta United has the momentum here. And you're getting the reaction from the 17s. You're getting the reaction from the kids in the lineup with Conway, with Campbell, who came off the bench, with Tyler Wolf, with Machop Chol. But here's where things turned again the other way. A tackle from Jake Mulroney. He gets to the ball first. He goes in front. Red card comes out very quickly from Joseph Dickerson, the referee. At this point, you and I were anxiously awaiting what VAR would do, and it ultimately proved that they would do nothing. There was no on-field review. You see the replay again there, and I think you see why that red card was rescinded by the disciplinary committee this week. Jake Mulroney will be available. He wasn't available for the last 20 minutes in Nashville, though, and Atlanta had to hold on. Alec Can with a big left-handed save on the free kick. That was a tougher save than I think we gave it credit at the time. Alec Can held on strong. This team fought very hard in this match. And it's one of those where the draw feels a little bit more than just a point. And now they've got to build on that in a tough match this weekend against New England.
Atlanta United now, Jason, has played almost 90 minutes this season, 11v10. And they haven't conceded when playing with 10 men in those 90 minutes.
It's a great stat.
I think that's a credit to Atlanta United. I would also say maybe 15 or 20 minutes of those 90 should not have occurred for reasons we have just outlined. But as you said, the disciplinary committee rescinded the red card on Jake Mulroney. So he'll be available for this match coming up Saturday against New England. Unfortunately, Santiago Sosa will not. He picked up a yellow card in the Nashville match. That's 5 on the year for him. So on accumulation, he will miss Saturday's match. But Jackson Conway got the goal, the equalizer, and it stood for the 2-2 draw. And I'll tell you, the one thing that stands out to me about Jackson Conway, Jason, when he's gotten opportunities to play, he has been clutch. It's something that started last December in the CONCACAF Champions League against Club America, and we got another taste of it Thursday night.
Yeah, Jackson Conway, he's had that knack about him in his whole career, going back to his time with Atlanta United too. He scored goals, and he scored big goals. He's learning, as we see as well. His MLS appearance against Philadelphia, we've talked about it, the end where there was a little bit of a late reaction in picking up the mark of Jacob Glesnes. We saw that change in Nashville. The goal scoring's always been there for him, but it's the stuff like this where he's fighting for a ball. He provides that outlet for the long ball. The double move that he will tell us a little more about in the upcoming interview, he's picking things up that Gabriel Heinze and the coaching staff are laying down to him. He's picking them up very quickly, and his development has been a lot of fun to watch. We had a chance to talk to him this week.
Well, Jackson, congratulations on your first MLS goal. You've scored on a big stage already down in Orlando against Club America, but I'm wondering if you can take me through the goal last Thursday in Nashville, starting from when the ball was played into you and what you saw from there.
Yeah, no, it all kind of goes back to, what, Gabby's been saying in training, with that double movement when, you try and take the defender one way and then you make that second movement to the far post. And, I took that to heart and, next thing you know, the ball's in the back of the net. So it's kind of what I've been working on. Kubo's been helping me. Joseph's been helping me. And, yeah, it's really paid off. And, it was a good time to score, with my parents being there. So, to tie the game up, first MLS goal. So it's a pretty cool moment, I'd say.
So it was a tough match for the team in general with the absences and going on the road against a good defensive team in Nashville. When you were coming into the match, what was the instruction that you got from the coaching staff?
Just kind of go and have fun. I think, we were down 2-1 at the time, so I think. And he just told me to go have fun and try and score a goal. And, next thing you know, I did. So but that was pretty cool. We kind of went over the press and how I went to press. And then that kind of all went downhill when Jake got the supposedly red card. That was ridiculous. So, yeah, then I kind of had to sit back a little bit and kind of play that kind of 10 role and not kind of play without a 9 the whole rest of the game. So, yeah, he just kind of told me to have fun, and I definitely did. I enjoyed at least 40 minutes on the field. Really got that taste of MLS experience that I need. And, it was good overall character from the team, and I'm proud of him. So,
for me, I think one of the cool things from last Thursday was seeing the team close the match out with you, Machope, Tyler, and George all out there at the same time. And there's a little screen cap when you're celebrating the goal and you're celebrating with Machope and George and Tyler. I just thought that was so neat to see how you guys who have played together before, not at the first team level, were all such a vital part of securing a point for the first team. And to me, it speaks a lot to how the academy program and the twos have you guys prepared for moments like that. Do you feel the same way, that you've been well prepared through all your time with the club leading to the moment that you had last Thursday?
Oh, yeah, no doubt. We're just like one big family. Like, even if I scored, it means as much, as it does to me than it does to George. It's all like, it means a lot to us. But, yeah, being prepared is one of the biggest things. And I think, with Tony, leaving, he left on a good note. Same with Glassy. They've been really good with all of us. So, yeah, I think I made the right steps, kind of not making my way into MLS too early, getting that experience in the USL, finding out what the professional level is like on and off the field. And I think we all kind of made that step, and Chop took the step to college, and, we all met back up in the MLS, and we all played really well that night. So yeah, very, very happy for all of us. And, it's a big step for the club. It's a big step for the academy. It shows, it shows the younger guys in the academy, what they can achieve. And yeah, it was an awesome night for all of us. So.
One of the moments with that preparation that jumped out to me was really late in the match. Dax McCarty, who's such a dangerous player with late runs into the box, was trying to kind of sneak in on the backside in a build-up situation for Nashville. And you tracked him and took the play away. The defensive side of your game is probably something that you really weren't asked to do a whole lot when you were a kid in the academy. How hard has that been for you to add that element to your game?
Yeah, it's definitely been tough, but you see in, how we set up for set pieces, we always have that center forward, the free man. Mm-hmm. He kind of at the 6-yard box, he's always the free guy, doesn't have to mark anything. So I made sure that, I was the free man when the corner came in. I made sure I wasn't the free man. When the ball went back out, I found a mark. Dax was right next to me, so I was like, all right, I really got to focus on not letting my mark up, because I was just thinking if he scores right now, that would just absolutely suck. And we came this far into the game. For all of us just to switch off like that would just be tough and tough to come back from. So I really made sure I stuck to it. But I grew up being a defender, grew up being a center back. So
really?
Kind of had a little bit left in the head when it came to defending. So tried to get that back in there for the last part of the game. So
bigger picture beyond the Nashville match, Jackson, I think you've done a remarkable job of staying patient, waiting your turn, and taking advantage when the opportunity has come to you. How do you stay mentally sharp when, say, you're in the team, but you may not get an opportunity to get on the pitch?
Absolutely. Yeah. there's been a couple times, this year where, to be honest, guys, I just like going to the games. I like being, in and around the players. I grew up, well, I didn't really grow up, but a couple years ago, I was watching these guys, in the Benz with my dad. And just to kind of soak it all in. There's that part of it. And then there's a part that I got to look at these guys, see what they do, what can I learn from them? And I think that's the biggest part, because, Kubo could be having a tough time right now, but the movements he makes in the box is pretty, what's the word? I don't know, but it's special. He does it in training as well. And he's really made sure that he's pulled me aside and hey, this is your time. This could help you. And it's worked out. And I appreciate him for that. Same with Joseph, his movement in the box gets him 30 goals, a season. So, yeah, just because I'm not playing, I understand. I'm a young player, just starting my full professional career, I'd say, at the highest level. And I'm just trying to take it in as much as possible, with open ears. And this is a good start, last Thursday. So hopefully there's more opportunities to come. And yeah, should be a good game at the Benz this weekend.
We've talked a lot this season about the intensity of the training sessions, and I think one of the more underrated elements of it that I've heard, from you and from others has been the intensity mentally of the training sessions and how much you're being asked to soak in. How much do you think those helped you as you were ready to take care of business in Nashville?
Yeah, it's huge. I kind of talked to Gabby and he knows that I'm a different player than Kubo and Joseph, and the movements that they make may be a little different than mine. But he told me to just go onto the field and kind of, give hell to the center backs, kind of, basically, and I think I did. I won almost all of my headers. Yep. I really kind of got into them. But yeah, the mental thing is big for these guys, finding out where you go next, which player goes where. And sometimes if one player moves into your spot, you got to move into their spot. It's just movements all over the field that definitely make you switch on. And they're big on the set pieces. So if you're switched off in a set piece, then they'll really get into you, because, sometimes set pieces can affect games, as we've seen this season. So I mean, yeah, you just got to be, once you step onto the pitch with Gabby, you really gotta, fully switch on the brain and be like, yeah, like we're here, like let's get it. So yeah,
I'm glad, Jackson, I'm glad you mentioned Kubo and how much he's helping. And I think the word you may have been looking for when you're describing the way he makes movements in the box, to me, it feels cerebral. That Kubo's a very experienced player, and there are intricacies of how he moves that maybe you can pick up on. But I'm wondering if you could expand on that a little bit, just how much Kubo has been a help to you this year, because one of the goals for Kubo this year was for him to work with the younger strikers, not just on the first team, but all the way down to the academy as well.
Yeah, I mean, he's been pulling me aside, like in training, and just working on, like, honestly, to like the little things on like how to strike a ball, like in the box. Like you don't have to hit it as hard as you can. You just find like the little corners and all that. But yeah, I mean, I think we both, because we sit right next to each other in the locker room, and we kind of talk here and there, and he's just like giving me like little tips on, like, we'd be watching the Euros and he'd be like, you see what he did, and I'd be like, yeah, like it's just like little things like that kind of just like, I don't know, they help a young player with like their confidence, knowing that you have like a kind of like a mentor, who's played at the highest level, who understands the game, and yeah, he's been a big help for me, and I really appreciate that. And I take all these little things and I just put them into my locker and try and produce them on the field. So
it feels like one of the big next steps that we're starting to see with Atlanta United, in year 5 now, where players like you and Machop and Tyler and George are coming through the first team, and you guys have mentors that are helping you in that process. Have you thought about what that process looks like for you with some of the young guys breaking into Atlanta United too right now, like Daniel Sabatu and Vial and some of the young players that are getting their first minutes? What would you tell them?
I would just tell them to go, the whistle blows and it's just a new day. It is tough to explain. Playing a professional game is tough to explain because you're not really thinking about anything else but soccer. But when Daniel scored his first goal, I was trying to find like a contact to text him, but I couldn't find it, to be honest. But I remember the first time I scored, and it was awesome. Like, I mean, just the, like the feeling that, okay, like this could actually be like, this could be a thing. Like I could really go on to do good things. And that's the best feeling you want to have as a young player, is like, I could be playing in the bands, in a couple of years. I could be, playing in the national team, doing things like that. Like, it just really boosts your confidence. And what I would tell them is just, keep going, score as many goals as possible, make your family proud, make Jack proud. Like, I mean, Jack's a good coach, and he's, and yeah, the teams look, every time I watch them, they look better and better and younger and younger. So, yes. I mean, I'm very proud of them and what they do. And yeah, a lot of those players have really high potentials. So proud of them.
All right, one more from me. I don't know how much time you get to spend on social media during the season, but I hope you're aware that you have become very quickly a big-time fan favorite among the 17s. Did you get a chance to look at your phone after the match on Thursday and kind of soak it all in from a social media standpoint? Because I know Jason and I were very excited for you, and I know a lot of our fans were as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't really go on my phone right after the game. I'll go in, I'll hang with the boys, and to be honest, the locker room after the game, we were all pretty proud of ourselves. So I mean, took a shower, came back with my phone. It was just completely blown up. I made sure I texted my parents right away because they were there. I wanted to try and see them, but security wouldn't let it happen. So I FaceTimed them as soon as I got back home. Early that morning. But I mean, yeah, all my friends, hitting me up saying how proud they were. One of my best buddies had all the boys over at his house and they had the game on, so they were pretty stoked. My girlfriend was watching, her parents. But yeah, I saw Twitter was blowing up. Instagram was blowing up. I don't know. It was awesome. I haven't really felt anything like that just yet, but it was pretty cool.
I'll tell you what, you have been clutch. You were clutch in December against Club America, and you were certainly clutch last Thursday against Nashville. And I can't wait to see what's next. Thanks so much for joining us, Jackson.
Awesome, Mike. Thank you so much.
Great visiting with Jackson Conway, and where he really got himself to the point where he can contribute now for the first team was on the proving ground where he was so good last year. And Atlanta United, too, continuing to fight for Jack Collison, Jason. They've had a lot of matches to play, a lot of them at home. They've been difficult, and they're coming off a match last week against Sporting Kansas City, too.
Atlanta United 2's in an interesting spot in the calendar right now where the older academy players who are going on to college are in the process of leaving. We've seen Will Riley go on to Stanford here, and you have some new players coming through, and it's a little bit of a team in flux, also without a lot of players helping them out from the first team. Showed a little bit here, an unfortunate deflection off of Chris Allen. Enoch Mushagalusa, who has just killed Atlanta United 2 this season. Great player who I think will move up to the first team for Sporting Kansas City here at some point. He got the goal off the deflection. The Twos struggled with a really good Sporting Kansas City 2 side in this one. Mushagalusa again on the run, creating a great opportunity that I have no idea how it wasn't finished. They did fight, though, and Robbie Mertz, Alex Garuba, Daniel Sabatu came on in this one. They did create opportunities, and Johnny Fortune, I thought, was maybe the most surprising player in this, coming in for Will Riley in the midfield. Really good bounce-back performance from him. He picked up 2 yellows in Memphis, got a red card, put the team behind the 8 ball in that one. Thought he was man of the match for Atlanta United 2 in this one. That's a great response from a young player. Daniel Sabatu with a great header there that was saved by Kendall McIntosh, nearly finding the equalizer. Matias Benitez with the follow-up that was pushed wide. Atlanta United 2 played well. They were unable to get a result out of this, and that's the challenge that they face now as they have a little bit of disappointment that they've got to bounce back from as they head on the road in a tough match now against the division-leading Louisville City on Saturday night.
The fixture sheet isn't really helping them either, is it? I mean, you're playing on the same day as the first team. The first team is shorthanded right now. They're taking players who might get a game for Atlanta United, too, if the fixture sheet works out in such a way. Similar to that Sporting Kansas City match, which was the night before the first team played in Nashville. So that really does make it tricky from a roster management standpoint, even getting a full team dressed and able to play. With so many Atlanta United 2 players needed for the first team at the moment.
It makes it extremely tricky, and we saw it with the lineup on Sunday against Sporting Kansas City, too. There were 2 brand-new academy debuts in the game day sheet. One of them did play, Jonathan Vial, who's a young academy player, just turned 16 years old. He's had some experience in the academy from the early days with Atlanta United, but this was his USL debut. And as we've seen with those young players, the first few minutes are a little bumpy getting up to full speed because USL speed is a lot different than academy speed. I thought Vial really started to impact the game well as it went on. Also on the bench, wasn't used in this one, but Johan Chirinos is another player who has just turned 16, who is now making the bench. That's where it's a challenge because you don't have first-team players available. They're all needed at the moment. You don't have those 18-year-old academy guys available who have graduated high school and are preparing for the next step in their careers into college. So this is the next crop coming through, the guys who are maybe 15, maybe just turning 16, who are going to be getting their feet wet in some key moments, and they're going to have to rise to the occasion. We've seen it with Daniel Sabatu already. Maybe Vial, maybe Chirinos are the next 2.
Well, it's interesting. The first team, Atlanta United, they were the last match played in MLS in Week 12. They're going to be the first match in Week 13 because the league took a couple days off for the Gold Cup, kind of a mini international break. Here's how everything played out in Week 12. Cincinnati and Columbus played to a very, very back-and-forth, wide-open 2-2 draw, which we can talk about. Philadelphia getting another point. Dallas still kind of struggling a little bit. Real Salt Lake scoring 4 goals at Vancouver. What stands out to you on this list of Week 12 results, Jason?
The Colorado result stood out to me. I haven't really been too big on the Colorado Rapids this year, but that's a good win against a Minnesota team that had been playing pretty well. Are we worried about the Loons again? Not yet. They have a tough one this weekend that we'll get into here in a minute. Colorado with a nice win Chicago with a very nice win against Orlando. Chicago scored 9 goals in 3 games. They are firing on all cylinders right now, and Alvaro Medran is leading the way. He's been outstanding in the midfield. I think the one that has to stand out the most is the Toronto win against New England. After the coaching change, we know New England is missing Matt Turner. They're missing Tajon Buchanan, but Toronto had been in the funk of all funks, and they found a way to get 3 fairly early goals. New England made a game of it, but Toronto beating New England, I did not see that one coming.
Tip your cap as well to Seattle. 13 matches without a loss to begin the season. That's a new MLS record. They continue to roll, and they have been picked apart by injuries and call-ups. So really impressive job by Brian Schmetzer's crew out in Seattle. That moves us into Week 13, which, again, will start at the Benz on Saturday. Atlanta United against New England Revolution. Here are the rest of the fixtures. Atlanta United, remember, will be in Cincinnati on Wednesday. Cincinnati will be in Montreal on Saturday. Orlando will be in Toronto on Saturday. So the Canadian-based teams, at least 2 of them, are now able, at least for the moment, to play in their home park. I'll tell you what, though. Chicago, you mentioned they've scored 9 goals in their last 3 matches. Going to Nashville, who we know doesn't concede a whole lot, even though they gave up 2 to Atlanta United. That one intrigues me on Saturday night.
Yeah, Nashville's conceding a little more than we're accustomed to, and it's kind of a weird situation for them. They're also scoring more than we were used to last year as well. Feels like Nashville's trying to find that right balance at the moment, and they're facing a Chicago team that's hitting on all cylinders right now. That will be a fun one. Chicago's not missing a whole lot of players at the moment either. They're closer to full strength than most teams. So can they go into Nashville and get a result? That feels like one of the games of the weekend. Montreal-Cincinnati will be one to watch. There is some talk about, with the border rules, who will be available for the teams going into Canada because of quarantine situations for unvaccinated individuals. Cincinnati, some of the reports are that they could be missing a few of their regular starters due to that. That will have an effect on these games, and when lineups come out, it will be very interesting to see how full strength Cincinnati looks. Toronto and Orlando, that really hasn't been any of the discussion around that one. Toronto, the question is, can they build on a win under an interim manager? Can they continue to build on that? Orlando's lost a couple in a row. Are they going through what we've seen them go through in mid-seasons before? Are they having that kind of slump that seems to hit them when you feel like they've got it together and they're a challenger to win the East? There's a bit of a slide from Orlando around this time of year. Can they bounce out of that on the road in Toronto? Philadelphia, D.C. is another one for me. D.C. has been with a little bit of a break from the MLS schedule, the way that the buys have worked out. But they've played Alajuelense from Costa Rica a couple of times in a miniature tournament that they had created. They've played Alianza from El Salvador. So they're sharp coming into this. And they've been very good lately under Hernan Losada. Philadelphia, we know, is missing Andre Blake. They're missing a couple others to the Jamaican national team. If DC can play the game at their pace, they might be able to cause Philadelphia a few problems. That would be one to watch to see if DC is a little more real than maybe we thought they'd be at this point in the season.
There are always some feelings involved in matches between Philadelphia and D.C. as well. That's a nice rivalry in the Eastern Conference. But we're concentrating on Atlanta United against New England Revolution at Mercedes-Benz Stadium Saturday at 5 p.m. This is going to be so tough, Jason, because we know Miles Robinson is out. We know that Santiago Sosa is out. We assume Alex DeJohn is going to be out with a broken elbow. So you're down a couple center backs. You're down your best defensive midfielder, and you've got to deal now with Gustavo Bo and Carlos Heel, and it feels like that's going to be very, very challenging for Atlanta United.
Yeah, it's very challenging for any team in this league, in my opinion. These are 2 of the best attackers in the league. Carlos Heel has been on a record-setting pace for assists in a season, and he seems to be on the same wavelength with Gustavo Bo so often. And then there's times when the game happens when Gustavo Bo doesn't even need that world-class assist from Carlos Heel. He just pulls magic out of his hat on a regular basis. What scares me about New England and these 2 in particular is the variety of ways that they can hurt you. Carlos Heel, from the run of play, he can break you down off the dribble. He can drift out wide and put in a dangerous cross. He can hit a ball from a deeper position that maybe you don't expect him to create an opportunity like this one. But on set pieces, Carlos Heel is just one of the best this league has ever seen. Gustavo Bo can drop into the midfield. Gustavo Bo can drop off of the main line and find dangerous spots. Both of them have a variety of ways to hurt you. And in a game like this for Atlanta United, where they're not at full strength, very curious to see what the shape looks like to deal with the possibility of Gustavo Bo and Adam Buxa up top and how dangerous they can be as a duo. That's probably going to mean 3 center backs. But with the injury questions and with the absences, what options is Gabriel Heinze going to have to solve this problem? Where New England and Bruce Arena are so good at picking teams apart and why they're the best team in the East right now is they don't make huge changes. They don't make these giant shifts in the way that they play. They make subtle changes. It could be Gustavo Bo dropping into the midfield to be as more of a 10 behind Buxa. It could be Carlos Heel sliding inside to play more as a true central midfielder as opposed to a winger who pinches inside. There's these little things that they can do in game that New England can come out in a base shape, and I expect a 4-4-2 from them. But that 4-4-2 can shapeshift and turn into different things depending on what they see. That's why they're good. That's why Bruce Arena is a great manager. He's won many trophies in this league. And that's why this duo is just terrifying for any team in MLS right now.
It feels like this is going to be a match where Amar Sejdic is going to have a role for Atlanta United, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. I think somewhat by necessity. But Amar Sejdic was identified as a player who fits what Atlanta United wants. It wasn't just go get somebody who's available. It's go get an Atlanta United player who's playing elsewhere. Amar Sejdic is that kind of a guy. He's technical. He's very good on the ball. He can play as a 6 or an 8. He can sit deep and be involved in building up out of the back. He can play a little bit further forward and get involved in springing attacks. He's a player who gives them more depth, and it's become even more important now with the injury to Mo Adams. Sejdic was picked up right before that to be a little bit closer to a Santi Sosa kind of 6 when needed, but Sejdic gives you the ability to be that 6/8, that defensive midfielder / box-to-box midfielder that Mo Adams gives the team. I think Sejdic and his acquisition is going to end up being very important, and he's going to be thrown straight in, more than likely this week, from the starter off the bench. I think he's got the ability to perform. He's been playing regularly with Montreal, but it's going to be vital that he finds some understanding with the players around him very quickly.
Yeah, and that's important to point out. He is in form. He had started Montreal's last 2 matches. Prior to the trade, he had only 1 day to train with Atlanta United prior to the Nashville match because that's when the transfer window opened. But now he's had a full week, so a full week plus, actually. So wouldn't be shocked to see Amar Sejdic have a role in this match tomorrow. But that is not my prediction. That would be too easy. We got to – I'm going to go wild. You know, we're in the middle of summer here. It's time to – just have fun, roll with things a little bit. So my wild prediction for tomorrow, Jason, is this. There will be 5 or more combined goals scored in this match. I think it's going to be really wide open, very high scoring. I think the momentum swings will be kind of roller coaster-esque. We know New England. Well, heck, New England's last match. How many goals were scored? 5.
Yeah.
And they went down 3-0 in that match and almost came back and got a draw. We know New England, they kind of remind me a little bit of LAFC in 2019 in that they can score goals in bunches pretty quickly. Atlanta United, I think, will have the ability to score goals in bunches as well, as we have seen them do at the Benz in 2 of their last 3 matches. 5 or more goals combined in this match tomorrow.
You know me, I like to dig into the stat sheet a little bit and try to find a player that I think will put up some numbers. And I'm going to go to Machop Chol in this one because I can see Machop getting another start based off his strong performance in Nashville, on both sides of the ball, by the way. And that's something that his game really has jumped to another level after his time at Wake Forest. When he was in the academy, he was a 1v1 player, a dangerous 1v1 player, one of the best in the country in his age group. But you didn't really think of him defensively a whole lot. He defended very well late in the game with 10 men for Atlanta, and I think that's going to turn the head of Gabriel Heinze and get him another start here. I think Machop Chol will score or contribute to a goal or an assist for Machop Chol. And if he can pick his spots to get in behind, he's got that change of pace that is so hard to predict. He can also cover about 5 yards with every step, what it seems like with Machop. But if he can get in behind, New England likes to get their outside backs high. If it's DeJuan Jones, if it's Brandon Bye, they like to attack and join the attack. Hitting Machop in those spaces on the break feels like a great weapon for Atlanta, and I think Machop gets on the stat sheet with a goal or an assist.
That's a great shout. Those are some of the plays, some of the actions that I think could produce multiple goals for Atlanta United tomorrow. That's why I feel like we're going to have a high-scoring match. Now that I say that, it will probably be 1-0, but you never know. I get the feeling it's going to be wide open. I think it'll be entertaining. It's a challenge for Atlanta United, as shorthanded as they're going to be. New England shorthanded too, by the way. Their goalkeeper, Matt Turner, has been starting for the U.S. men's national team in the Gold Cup. So they're dealing with absences as well. But this is going to be a challenge. I'm hoping that what happened last Thursday in Nashville, especially the way that Atlanta United ended that match kind of in the ascendancy, I'm hoping that's going to be a springboard going into this Saturday's match at home.
That kind of an attitude that we saw in Nashville from a young team, but also the type of performance we saw from Alex DeJohn, playing a long way with a broken elbow or a fractured elbow, finishing the game, going up for headers, coming down on top of Nashville players with that arm, and he can't protect it. Things like that can be inspirational to a group. Things like 4 academy players playing significant minutes can be inspirational to a group. And these young guys, in some ways, don't know how hard it's supposed to be right now with all the absences. They're playing. And as Gabriel Heinze has told them when they've come on, as Jackson Conway told us, go on and have fun. Go on and express yourself and play your game. They don't know to be worried about these kinds of moments, and that's a good thing for Atlanta United tomorrow. It's going to have to be a strong performance from some players that maybe haven't been asked to be as influential in the past. If it's a Machop Chol, if it's a George Campbell, if it's a Tyler Wolff, if it's a Jackson Conway, those are guys who can lead this team during this tough time and produce and continue to build upon a good result in Nashville and hopefully a good performance and good result against New England.
Yeah, we certainly hope so. 5 o'clock kickoff at Mercedes-Benz Stadium on Saturday. You can watch it on ESPN. Jason and I, all the radio coverage on 92.9 The Game. By the time we see you next week, we'll have 2 matches to go over, not only the New England match, but also the match in Cincinnati. And we'll look ahead to that big home match against Columbus Crew with 70,000 people, we hope, in attendance. That'll be next week on the AT&T Countdown to Kickoff. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you at the match on Saturday.